Welcome to the weekly Wednesday Oracle reading. My name is Carolyn Marie Yakupich. I'm the founder of Soul Awakening School, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Remember to give it a subscribe and a like for this video, and let's get started with this collective reading for this week. So immediately I was drawn to picking out this Andara crystal for the reading, which is an emerald green Andara. So really looking into the heart space and activating and opening our hearts. And I find, we're approaching the summer solstice right now. And what I'm seeing is this acceleration of energy, this activity and this creativity and this spark. And at the same time, there are these feelings of almost descending into darkness or descending into the underworld or, the shadow self. So I feel like giving space for both of these are important right at this time. And how we do that is through the heart space, to celebrate, right? In ancient times, summer solstice was all about celebration. It is the abundance of everything in the world because the sun is at its peak and it is the most light that is coming onto the planet. And within our own physical vessel, we also have that light within us that, sun is the active principle. It's the divine masculine energy. So once this peaks as the longest day and shortest night on June 21st, basically from that moment on, we're going to start going into the days getting a little shorter and a little shorter and a little shorter. So it does really represent that descent into going back into the darkness, right? So it's like we build all the way up to the summer solstice, and then we start coming back into that, shadow aspect, or let's just call it, it doesn't have to be shadow, but it's like reflective nature, really turning inward. So there may be some things right now that you are recognizing that are surfacing in your life that have been kind of stored or pushed away or, stuffed down, and they're coming to the surface to be reflected upon and to also be forgiven, right? Because when we go into these spaces of inner reflection, there is a really big opportunity for us to forgive, to do this forgiveness work. And how does forgiveness happen? It happens through the heart. Yes, it happens with this green obsidian, but it also happens through acceptance, self-acceptance. So in order to actually give something forth, we must first accept it within ourselves, right? It doesn't mean we have to accept it and say, okay, this is how it is and this is it, I give up, because that is actually giving our power away and moving into that unbalanced divine feminine energy of victimhood, right? The divine feminine energy within us is the active principle, not active, the receptive principle, right? Where the sun, that solar energy, is active, that masculine energy is active, the feminine is receptive. So when we turn that energy on ourselves, instead of being open and receptive to receive our intuition, to receive guidance, to really, pause before moving forward so that we do move in alignment, we start to turn on ourselves and become insecure and self-doubt and self-sabotage, and all of those aspects bring us into that space of victimhood, right? It's like turning on the self. The masculine energy is outward, it's active. So when there is an imbalance in that energy, it tends to be more at war. It's more time to go to battle, right? The tyrannical type energy. So just recognizing the interplay of these energies within us. And so today's intention for this reading is to come into the space of the heart, to really be with what is, to accept and honor what is, and from that space taking the necessary steps, right? But being open to receive the messages meant for us at this time. So with that, we'll move into the reading, and I'm going to spray the Palo Santo to clear my energy field and to clear the space of everyone coming in that is receiving these messages through this reading. So again, remember, always use your discernment. If it feels aligned for you, if it feels resonant, it's meant for you. If it doesn't, then just leave it. It's totally fine. And these these readings, even though, I do talk about now it's the summer solstice, they are timeless. So whenever it finds you, whenever this video finds you, there will be something here for you. So as always, moving into the Star Child Oracle deck and tapping into what Spirit wants us to know as we're approaching the summer solstice. We are how many days? 4 days away right now from the summer solstice. So what would Spirit like us to know moving forward with this energy? A couple of cards popped out immediately. I love it. Portals. Portals is the first card. So I love that this card is also a fairy. I mean, I spent quite some time living in Glastonbury, England, and the fairy energy in Britain is just, yeah, it's amazing. And, there is all over the world, there are fairies, right? But if you allow yourself to go into the forest, if you allow yourself to go into places where there is more nature and more greenery, you can tap into these unseen realms. You can tap into these energies. And there are messages that come through the fairies very often, right? So it's really about being still enough to receive, as always. As always, whether it's our own guidance coming through, our own intuition coming through, or if we're tapping into those unseen realms and the multidimensional realms and then receiving messages, whether it be from the fairies or the ascended masters or from your own spirit team, your spirit guides, which, yes, can also be ascended masters. So if you feel a link to a specific master, that there's something there for you. There is a communication that has been opened between you and them within the unseen realms. So just being aware of what shows up with whoever it is that you feel very called to and drawn to. This can also be, what I'm getting right now is, it can be ancestral as well. So you may have had loved ones that have passed over and they may be communicating with you now as well. The one thing to know about the portal energy, though, as we're going into the solstice, is that the solstice itself is a portal. It is one of the 8 great festivals in the wheel of the year. It is a high holy day, and it is, like I said, this peak of energy that we are going to experience on this day. And what happens on all of these specific days that mark specific time frames on the earth and how the earth responds to the energies, right? Whether it's like winter and everything's going into slumber, and then we have the opposite where everything's in fullness and in abundance in the summer. So it is a portal and it impacts the electromagnetic field of the earth, especially when we look at the sun, right? The sun and it being so active, so bright, so intense. And that intensity is impacting the electromagnetic field of the earth. We walk on that field. We walk on Mother Earth's consciousness, and it is impacting us directly because our magnetic field is interacting with Mother Earth's magnetic field, and our radiant body that expands beyond our own magnetic field responds to the cosmos, responds to everything happening up in the sun, the moon, the stars, right, in the Milky Way, and all of the galactic bodies and the star systems. And all of this is part of what we can tap into when we really stay open and just allow ourselves to be receptive. So this portal shifts our psyche. It is really a time where it can shift the energy, and it can really give us this opportunity to see what we are doing in our life that is in alignment, and where we want to move forward. It's like leaving behind, shining a light on what is not in alignment anymore, right? If you think of the brightest light, right? If you had unconscious emotions, programs, experiences in your body, because we store them in our body, and they are just repressed, right? They're not being seen. Like I said at the beginning, some things may be surfacing now for you. So imagine having a light, like a flashlight inside your body, and just going into the deepest, darkest corners where you have this stored gem of wisdom, because it really is a gem of wisdom. The moment that it gets uncovered, the more you learn more about yourself, the more you're able to reconcile parts of yourself, the more you can integrate those shadow aspects, those tough lessons that we have as we're on this spiritual journey. Because the path is not straight and narrow, it is not easy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's bliss and there's love and there's joy. And it's like, wow, I had a taste of what it feels like to be in that fifth dimensional consciousness of open-heartedness and blissfulness. And then all of a sudden, whew, okay, there's another lesson. It's that same lesson that I keep bumping up against. And it's really amping up in 2026 because we are in a 1 year. So the 1 year is like a shift and a transition, but it's also a 10 year. So the 10 teaches us that we're not doing it alone. The 10 is our radiant body that expands universally, that connects in with divinity and our own recognition that we are an expression of divinity, that we are an expression of that royal nature. And so it's really important to make time for connection with God, Goddess. It's very important to connect in and really know that you are not here alone, that you are here and you are a part of something bigger and greater, right? And that it is not up to you to make everything happen. The moment we can let go of the physicality of that tension, of that restriction and constriction and the pressure that we have to do it all ourselves, that we have to make it happen, and feel how like physical that feels. You know, it's like working towards a deadline and it's like there's only so much time and there's all this pressure. Or, yes, okay, sometimes we do have a time frame that we have to complete things, but let's take that as the example. And then, or without putting pressure on ourselves, remembering that we are a divine expression, that we are also meant to be an antenna to receive information of what our next steps are, and to be able to have that faith and that trust and that deep surrender to divinity, to God, Goddess, to knowing that we are always divinely guided, divinely inspired. And sometimes the guidance is to sit still. So practicing patience in those moments, right? So really knowing that the lesson of the 10 this year is that we're not meant to do it alone. We are meant to remember, right? Remember, if you think of a member, right? It's like our physical body is a member, and remembering is putting back the fragmented pieces to come back to wholeness. And in my wholeness, I remember that I am whole, perfect, and complete, just as God, Goddess made me. So knowing this and honoring this, and honoring that we can pray, we can meditate. When we pray, we speak to God. When we meditate, we receive from Spirit the guidance. So really making that part of the journey. Because when we start to lean on that and we start to bring that into our day-to-day awareness, the sacredness of our life will shift. It's in the little moments, it's in the little blessings. And then there's more messages that come through, more synchronicities that come through, more, next steps that are revealed. And it's just a little at a time, and just allowing yourself to be in that space of trusting the process. So the 10 is teaching us this. Divinity is with me, within me, and all around me. And divinity moves through me and creates through me and with me. So this is part of it. And also seeing the divine in others, right? If I don't see the divine in all, I don't see the divine in all, at all, right? So that's a very it's a very deep statement and it's a very true statement. Because the moment I point a finger, so that's saying I point the finger and I've got three pointing back at me, right? It's like if I'm judging, the judgment comes from within my own consciousness first upon myself. I just got a thumbs up and I didn't see myself giving a thumbs up to the camera. However, see, there's another sign and a synchronicity. Okay. And I don't even know if that was recorded where you can see it in the screen as well. However, I got to see it. So now we're going into a one energy, right? We're in a one energy. A one energy is planting seeds. It's the beginning of stages of creation. So it's not like you're going to see what you're planting this year in full form and in full bloom. It is the beginning. So it can be a little messy. It can be a little bit like feeling like you have a blank page and you don't know what to write on it, or you have an empty garden and you're still not sure what flowers you want to plant in the flower bed, right? So it's like there is this open canvas right now. So really that seed, that one energy is really about getting clear on what it is that you want to create moving forward. So summer solstice, it's like using this portal, using this opportunity to shine a light on everything that is feeling misaligned, right? It's allowing that to be weeded out. So we can really go into that weeding and shifting our consciousness, shifting our attention, shifting our focus, creating space for the feelings that come up as we release these parts of ourselves, and then shifting the focus to the bigger vision, to what it is we really want to create, and really getting reflective about that so that we can come into alignment and co-create with that 10 energy of the divine. So we have portals and it says doorways into the now, and also letting go of the warrior, which I was just talking about, right? Letting go of the pressure and the force, and I have to show up and do it this way, or it's not going to work, like whatever the judgments, the pressure, the competition, whatever that old paradigm that is running through you, it's time to lay it to rest. It's time to lay it to rest. And in the now is where these portals are opened. Not in yesterday and not in tomorrow, but in the now. So being present, it's like what I said about the fairies. When you are really present in the moment, you can access those realms. You can start to open to those energies and to those messages. So the next one that came through with that card was Well of Dreams. And it says creation, visions, messages, dissolve the veil, bliss, and dreams. And I feel like we covered so much of that already. Now, being mindful of the visions coming through, being mindful even of your dreams. So in dream time, you might be receiving messages right now, and you also might be doing some very deep clearing work. So if you can, maybe you want to keep a dream journal and write, it's best to write it immediately when you wake up as much as you can to get it out. So, because I know over time, I know for me, the memory will shift and then you start taking in your current reality and it just shifts, the memory. So you may want to keep a dream journal. You may be receiving messages for your future self, messages about the past and clearing. Again, not necessarily needing to put any kind of meaning on everything, but just observing and being a witness to it and what's coming through for you at this time through your dreams, because that can be very significant for you at this time. So the other part of this that's standing out is dissolve the veil, right? So if you are still feeling like you can't show yourself fully, you are wearing a mask, you are, just not allowing yourself to be seen and vulnerable. And remember that vulnerability does not mean weakness. There is strength in vulnerability. So when you allow yourself to be seen in all of you, in all expressions, in your authenticity, then you are lifting that veil of illusion, right? Because the masks are the identities that are not who we truly are. So allowing yourself to be seen. So this might be, a deeper message for you, that allowing yourself to share more with others or express verbally what you're seeing. Maybe you have these great insights and you keep them to yourself because you're afraid of being judged for what you're seeing. But these things that you're sharing, that you will share, and when you do share, there will be others that are going to feel so seen, and also it'll stimulate something in them to feel like they're, not the only one. They are not alone, right? And we are all in this together, right? The more we find our soul tribes, our soul family, the more we are going to uncover more, reveal more, step into our power more. So the more we can really allow ourselves to be seen and heard and felt by others, the more we are going to draw our soul family to us. It's just the way it is. It really is. And sometimes, I'm getting this too, sometimes it is just your presence alone, allowing yourself to be seen in who you are in your silence. And that can be so powerful. And a lot of the times it's much more powerful than having to say anything. So just being a witness to yourself, observing what is coming through for you and moving from that space. Okay, so I'm going to ask for, if only one card comes out, one more message coming through from this deck, and that was it. Oh, it's so perfect. Share space. Share space. Share space. Look at finding our soul family and coming through. And, it says telepathy. So again, I just said silence can speak louder than words sometimes, and just holding our presence, right? So telepathy is when you can speak without speaking. It is a mental, communication that happens, but it's also, and it's not like mental from the mind only, it's an energetic, spiritual communication. It's like the waves of the dolphins, right? Like, and the whales, actually, the whales is what's coming through. It's like, I don't know if they're called sonar. I have to look it up now because I'm not even fully familiar if that's the right word, but sonar waves maybe is what it is. You can also comment in the description if you know the answer to this, but it's like that they're emitting this frequency and they're communicating through the ocean, right? And so we have this ability to communicate with others through our third eye, telepathically, allowing ourselves to really transmit that message, but also receive the messages. I've had this experience before where I have been, walking down an alley, not let me just clear that up. It's like a nice quaint alley in the UK in a really nice area. And I'm walking down this alley and it's like all shopping little things. And there's somebody walking in front of me. And before we actually stopped to have a conversation, I heard, "I know you." And then it was like, "I know you too." And it was like all this stuff was said before we even started speaking to each other. And there was this soul remembrance. So that is part of this telepathy. It's really about soul family, soul remembrance coming back online. So you might start to feel more energy, more things energetically, more things are animated in your life at this time. It also is talking about co-creation and honoring and communing. So co-creation, it's time to collaborate, it's time to connect with others, it's time to be seen, it's time to go out, and it is time to honor yourself for your gifts and your abilities, because the moment you honor and see yourself is the moment that you will be seen by others. So allowing yourself to really be a witness to yourself and know that you are here for a purpose. You have this creative expression that moves through you unlike anyone else on the planet. We all are unique expressions of divinity. And so only you can share what you can share. And the time is now because you are needed. So I feel like we're going to have one more message coming through from the Anubis Oracle. So a message from Egypt, seeing which Neteru or Neterus would like to come through at this time for our final message. And here we go. We have Honsu. Okay. So Honsu is the moon god. Lunar energies, divine timing, and blood mysteries. Okay, so I'm going to read from the book. Okay. Honsu is a lunar god who appears with as many faces as the phases of the moon. Like the moon, he controls the tides and influences the weather. He is closely linked with Tot, and like Tot is seen as both the ibis, or as an ibis, the ibis, and the baboon. Known as the Wanderer, he is a protector of travelers and a measurer of time. Honsu brings spiritual nourishment to our bodies and souls. He knows the exact timing in which we are ready to receive communion and eat the flesh of the gods so that we may become as one of them. So in alignment, so in alignment. Honsu works on our behalf to fertilize our minds and hearts with the seeds of our own divinity. It's the 10. It's the 10-1 energy, the seed of our own divinity. He engages the power of the moon to bring forth the healing rains that cleanse our old belief systems, and he renews our DNA at a cellular level. He governs the tides of the oceans and human emotions. Honsu is a great healer, said to be able to exorcise demons. He does this by honoring, feasting, and celebrating the diseases, and they go away happy. If you have chosen this card, the time is now to move forward in some situation that you have been hesitant about. It is also a favorite time for travel. Whatever movement is being called for, you may want to harness the power of ritual. Create a communion ceremony in honor of the divine being that you are. Acknowledge the journey you have completed that has prepared you for the new phase you're entering, the 1 year. You can do this spiritually or bring it to the physical plane by setting up an altar with food that represents the body of earth and drink that represents the blood of the divine Neteru. So the Neteru are what most call the gods and goddesses of Egypt. However, Neteru means of nature. So for me, they are the expressions of divinity. So each representing aspects of divinity, and each one of them representing aspects of what we hold within ourselves. So they are divine reflections of who we are and who we are returning to in our remembrance. If you are in need of healing, honor the source of your disease, injury, or situation for the teaching it has brought you as you take in the holy sacraments. Okay. How beautiful. How beautifully that just solidified the entire message. So really, in a recap, you are not alone. Remember that you are an expression of divinity. Making time, even talked about creating an altar, making time for your sacred ritual every single day, even if it's a few minutes. Making time for prayer, making time for meditation, honoring yourself, honoring where you've been, what you've been through to get to where you are now, and just recognizing that you are needed. And the moment you allow yourself to be seen in all of your authenticity, the moment you drop the masks and needing any kind of, recognition or validation or any of that, the moment you drop all of that and just allow yourself to be fully here now, fully present as that expression, however it comes out, the more that you are going to align with who you are here to be on this planet, and the more people will be magnetically drawn to you that are part of your soul tribe and your soul family. And the moment that happens, the easier it becomes, because now it is a collective working together, and we are always stronger together. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And again, remember to subscribe to my channel. Every Monday, I do Monday meditations. Every Wednesday, I do these oracle readings and tuning into the collective. This Sunday, June 21st at 10 a.m. till 11 a.m., I do have a Summer Solstice Kundalini activation virtually that I am offering. It's 33 Canadian. And if you're interested, I will drop the link in the description and you can sign up there. And there will be a replay as well. And also, I am available for one-to-one readings if that is something that you feel called to go deeper into, whether we use cards, human design, astrology, numerology. Numerology I love. There's so much depth and wisdom within that as well. And of course, in the other systems too. So if any of that is calling out to you, I'll leave my link in the description and you can book a session with me there. And again, thank you for being here with me on this journey, and I will see you again soon.